Apple Arcade has been out for 3 months now, and 2019 is quickly coming to a close. So I wanted to give my own take on my top 10 Apple Arcade games of 2019. Please heavily note, are you listening? This is my list, it's not an official list. Many will not agree with the games I've chosen, and that's fine. This video is just so you can hear my thoughts on my favorite games, okay? Let me know your top 10 games in the comments. Starting at number 10, we have Towaga Among Shadows. This is the follow-up game to Towaga, which released on iOS back in 2017. This new version was still developed by Sunnyside Games, but published to Apple Arcade by Noodle Cake Studios. Among Shadows was the first Apple Arcade game I tried on my iPhone, and I immediately fell in love with the gorgeous cinematic art style and action gameplay, where you fire a light beam to stop enraged creatures. When I play the game, it feels like a superhero action film, especially in the flying levels. I really appreciate Sunnyside Games being open with the community, addressing some of the wishes from gamers and applying them in the latest content update, such as spells being available in the flying mode, more outfits, and you can now upgrade spells themselves with soul shards. I'm also looking forward to the local multiplayer mode being added in the coming weeks. Number 9 is Shinsekai Into the Depths. Earlier in the year, Capcom showcased this underwater survival game on stage at the Apple September event. I'll be honest, for me it looked pretty generic at first, but when I got my hands on it in September, this thought quickly changed. The most impressive aspect is the sound design, which was crafted underwater, and listening with my Bose noise-cancelling headset really made me appreciate the work put into the sound. But also, the post-apocalypse world is massive here and has some minor open world elements, allowing players to explore on foot or by submarine. I'm a sucker for post-apocalypse games and movies, and in my opinion, Capcom really nailed the hopelessness and devastation from the buildings, cities, vehicles, ships, and other infrastructure being highly damaged and submerged underwater. To add on, having to manage your oxygen reserves underwater can be a real challenge and thrill, especially when you're on the last ounces of oxygen available. The only issue I had with this game was that the frame rate would sometimes drop, and I didn't really like how they used this weird hidden texture thing when you hadn't discovered an area. I thought it was a little bit not very good looking. This didn't really ruin the experience, but it was just, a bit noticeable. Number 8, we have Super Mega Mini Party. Welcome to my favorite multiplayer game on Apple Arcade. This might be a surprise to some, as I know some gamers think this one is really weird, but that's what I love about it. It's silly, ridiculous, and fun, and everyone, young and old, can enjoy it. Right now, there are only 8 mini games on offer, but they play radically different. My favorite level would have to be the lava one, where players have to keep hopping to platforms without accidentally jumping onto the hot lava. And yes, I agree, there is not enough modes here, but Red Games will be adding not just more minigames, but also more characters soon. You can play with up to 4 friends, or go online in the party mode. Unfortunately, this game doesn't support local on-screen couch co-op. I hope Red Games add this in a future update, as this game is perfect for it. Number 7 is Dear Reader. This has to be one of the most overlooked games on Apple Arcade. Most people see it and say, no, I don't want to read books. But please, let me explain to you what you're missing out on. Dear Reader by local number 12 is not just about reading. I'd say it's more of a puzzle game that also allows players to engage with literature and increase comprehension and vocabulary skills. It's fun, from scrambling anagrams to swapping lines of text, picking letters that fill in the blanks, and much more. And I'm not a big reader. I can't concentrate on the words when I try to read a book. But Dear Reader can be a catalyst for me to break down a book slowly and understand the words behind it, but also to appreciate the importance of literature and the writers behind these books, who can often be forgotten about. It's definitely best to play this game on an iPad, but it is still playable on all other devices, even an Apple TV, which is quite a feat. Number 6, we have Mini Motorways. Mini Motorways is the follow-up game to Mini Metro, but instead of managing the flow of trains, it's now traffic. Dinosaur Polo Club have crafted a traffic simulation game that makes you problem solve in-game, but also can have an effect on how you problem solve in real life. For example, this might sound stupid. Yesterday I was stuck on the highway for 40 minutes in terrible traffic. And as I was sitting in my car, I thought of Mini Metro and how I could fix this issue to allow all the vehicles to move quicker. It's not every day that a game can have this effect on you when you're not even playing the game. Dinosaur Polo Club have also heavily updated Mini Motorways with trees, new colors for the cities, more audio, your controller can now manipulate time, there are heaps of bug fixes, and the game doesn't heat up your device as quickly. They are also adding a photo mode in the future. Number 5 is Bleak Sword. Developed by More 8-Bit and published to Apple Arcade by Devolver Digital, I like to think of this game as a pixel arcade version of Dark Souls. That might sound weird, but the gameplay is actually quite similar. The game is presented in an arcade level structure, so you can go through 9 tense chapters here. The action gameplay allows you to strike enemies with a light and heavy attack. You can also block, parry, and dodge. At first it can be a little difficult to understand how it all works, but once you get the hang of it, it's super satisfying and entertaining. The standout feature of Bleak Sword though is the art style, which presents 2D assets in a 3D world. I absolutely love it. The only downside for this game is how it's locked in a vertical orientation on iPhone and iPad. I think it would be so much better in landscape mode, especially since the game supports controllers. Number 4, we have Mutazione. This is another underrated Apple Arcade game, which is a shame because it's really special. It's a laid-back soap opera adventure game. It has actually been in the works for 10 years. You play as a 15-year-old who goes to visit her dying grandfather, Nono. The game takes place on a strange tropical island holiday resort. 100 years ago, this island was struck by a meteor, leaving those who survived with weird mutations. The game is inspired by nature and music, so the soundtrack will change depending on the day of the week and time. There is sometimes a band playing in town, and characters like to listen to their own music. Each plant has their own instrument too, so when you're gardening here, and yes, you can garden, you'll create your own ambient soundscapes. Mutazione shows the importance of growing up, staying connected with your family, and why it's vital to help people when they are in need.
It's definitely for people that want to have a laid-back experience, that don't want to feel pressure when playing a game, that just want to delve into a universe, get to know lovable characters, and get to know a really nice story. And yeah.
Number 3 is Sayonara Wild Hearts. Recently, Sayonara Wild Hearts received the Apple Game of the Year award, which is a really good achievement for the developer Simigo. It's not my favorite game of the year on Apple Arcade, as you can clearly see, but it's still very high on my list. It was published to Apple Arcade by Annapurna Interactive, who have a great history working with developers who create very artistic games. And this game is, the definition of art. The game is a representation of a woman's broken heart, and in my interpretation, I believe each level showcases different emotions. For example, when the world is breaking apart, it is demonstrating an outburst of emotion from this woman. Or when she is chasing after someone, it could be her trying to stay connected with the ones she loves. Or for the fighting scenes, this could be a dramatized action scene of the anger she feels towards said person. I could be completely wrong here, I could be going off on a tangent, but that's my interpretation. Number 2, we have INMOST. INMOST, a platform game, was one of my most anticipated games for Apple Arcade in mid-2019. It was developed by Hidden Layer Games and published to Apple Arcade by Chucklefish. I really adore the fluid animations, dark color palette, voice acting, and creepy monsters here, especially those slime creatures. Oof. The game follows 3 playable characters and will transition between each one throughout your playtime. Each character plays differently, from a knight who can attack, a man who can't attack but can traverse environments with ease, and a little girl who can't fight or jump high but can get into small spaces. There might be 3 different characters here, but INMOST presents one interconnecting tale of suffering, sacrifice, and family. I won't spoil how it connects, but I like how Hidden Layer Games have gone about it. The game is quite short at around 3 hours. I would have liked it to be, a little longer, but that said, it never presents a dull moment. Number 1, we have Mosaic. Some people are not a big fan of this game, and that's fine, but for me, Mosaic is the Apple Arcade game that I gelled with the most. It is from the creators of Among the Sleep, who would be Krillbyte Studio, and it was published to Apple devices by Raw Fury. First, Krillbyte explored the horrors that can be found in childhood, and now to the lonely life many have in adulthood. Mosaic is a dark, surrealistic, and atmospheric adventure game that is all about urban isolation, capitalism, and the dread that comes with being stuck in a rut at a bad job. It also presents the negative effects of technology, social media, and dating in our modern lifestyle. Mosaic can be painfully real, and in many ways, I can relate to the main character with my own personal issues, and I'd say many others on planet Earth can too. Krillbyte have done a great job of portraying burnout in the workplace and mental health issues. Give the game a go, but definitely watch something light-hearted after. Those are my 10 favourite Apple Arcade games of 2019. Now, let's keep the conversation going in the comments. What are your favourite games? If you enjoyed the video, leaving a like is super helpful, and subscribe and turn on notifications to be alerted about upcoming Apple Arcade videos. Anyway, thanks for watching and for all the support this year on my Apple Arcade videos. Thank you.